So now once we've got our skins all prepped and ready for application, you're going to have to choose the right foundation. And you have to know your skin type. So if you've got oilier skin, if you've got drier skin, combination skin, there's a lot of foundations that are geared more towards like drier skin. So for example, I've got dry skin, so I use the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder. I like that foundation because it's not got a lot of coverage. I don't like a lot of coverage on my skin, but it's for dry skin, so I use that. Whereas there's the MAC Studio Fix, that's quite a heavy foundation, but that's really good for oilier skin, and it sets quite quickly and it's matte. So you need to take that into consideration. If somebody had oily skin, I wouldn't use Light Wonder on them because they're just going to make their skin look really like, it's not going to be nice glow, it's going to look really oilier. It's just going to make the skin look oilier. So you have to know your skin type. But a wee note here to take about primers and foundations is make sure they're both the same base. So you can get mostly silicone based or you get mostly water based foundations and primers. So if you had a silicone based primer and you used a water based foundation, it wouldn't mix well. So if you find your foundation and primer doesn't mix and it separates, especially around this area, nose and on the skin, it'll separate and it'll just come away. That's likely that, that could be the issue with it. It could be down to skin prep, but it could be that you're using a silicone based primer and a water based foundation. If you ever use a primer and it's really quite silky feeling on the skin, so like there's the YSL one and the Delilah one, it feels really quite silky on the skin. They tend to be more silicone based. If it feels more watery, same with the foundation. If the foundation's a bit more liquidy, a bit more runny, it's more likely to be more water based. So definitely keep that in mind. Check your foundation and primer to see they work together. Okay, so how do you colour match once you found a foundation for you? So a lot of people, when you need natural daylight, that is a must, because you can't tell, when you're in these stores and you're trying foundations on, you can't tell, the lighting's really off-putting and things like that, so you need natural daylight. The first place you're going to test the colour is actually on here. So when I'm doing bride's makeup, I always check on their chest. I often find our neck doesn't get the same amount of like daylight and things and sun that our face and our chest area does. So, and because with brides, most of the time they have a off the shoulder, this bit's exposed. So you kind of want to match that to that, your face to that kind of area. So we're just going to start with a little bit, so it's not much. So I'm going to do that there. So I'm going to do that. Now what you want here is, so if you can see that, but once you blend it in, you don't want to see it. It's got to look like natural. So you can't really see that now. So to me, that's the right shade because you can't see it. It's just the right, the right shade. If I was to put something too dark or too light there, you would see it, it'd be obvious. So once you've blended it in and it blends in lovely with your skin and you can't see it, that's a good indicator that it's the right shade. Now we're just going to take a little bit down here onto the jawline. So again, you can't really see that. So once that's blended in, you can't see it. And then we're going to go here, because quite often our forehead can be, again, it can be a wee bit darker and things like that. So we're going to blend that in. Quite often you'll find it's hard to find one shade that, I'm quite lucky that shade 2 Light Wonder works for me. It can be quite difficult. Especially some people maybe tan more in the summer, so they maybe need a darker foundation and a lighter one in the winter. So quite often you do need two, but if you can get one, get something, it's easier to get something that's maybe as close to your colour as possible. But if it's slightly lighter, it's okay because you can actually add warmth with bronzer and contour and things like that, and blush it. You can add warmth, whereas if you go too dark, it's kind of hard to make it lighter. And plus a lot of foundations do oxidize. So you might have a foundation, you put it on in the morning and it's perfect colour, as the day goes on it gets darker and darker, and MAC's actually got, the Studio Fix can do that, so just keep that in mind. So as we can see here, it's blending in really nicely. So that to me is a perfect colour. You don't want to see it, you want it to blend in and it's gone, and that's the perfect colour for you. Something else we're going to talk about when it comes to the foundation shades are, you can get cool, neutral or warm shades, so again for skin tone. So I'm actually cool toned, but I don't like a cool tone foundation because it's pink, and it makes, because I've got pinkness anyway, natural pinkness, I think it just makes me look more red, more pink. So I opt for neutrals. So if, like me, you do have a bit of redness and pinkness about you anyway, I wouldn't necessarily go for a cool foundation, I would go for neutral. Again, you'll know yourself once you try it, but it can be too, I find it can be too pink. most foundations now have different tones and it will tell you. So once you kind of know your own undertone, you'll be able to find a foundation that matches that. Now we're going to go into applying it. So that was just to show you how to colour match and things like that. So I'm going to go and get my primer and get that on, and we'll get started.